Good evening. It's just gone 7:30 on Tuesday. It's the Tuesday ticket on the Boise bus, and of course, as always, I am joined by my trusty Tuesday night team, Phil McGinley and Regan Stevenson. Regan, you've got a big grin on your face there, mate. You're excited. You got
Oh,
what's happening?
I'm not bad, David. I liked how you did that there. Your trusty Tuesday team there. So
Alliteration.
I'm,
Alliteration. Is that
I'm
what you
just
call it, Regan?
I'm just hoping Trusty is trustful of me tomorrow, and he can put in a very good performance in Celtic Park. Me and Phil are going to be there, so hopefully we can be the lucky charms.
You think we'd rehearsed that, but I mean that was right off the cuff there, Phil.
That fell right
Uh,
into your lap. That was great.
I know,
Aye,
I know. That's it. I mean, we do rehearse this. We've done a 2 hour rehearsal. We've done the whole show 2 hours ago, and now we're just repeating everything that we
This
just
is a
said.
pre-record. That's
Aye,
the swerve here.
that's how are you getting on, Phil? I'm just gonna let the dog out the room because he's scratching the goot of this room 2 seconds.
I'm all good, mate. Happy to be back on Tuesday ticket. And what a ticket it is! It's a Champions League ticket, the best kind of tickets. So yeah, we'll be obviously looking forward to the game against Club Brugge tomorrow night. Yes, the talk of the town. So excited, mate. Excited
Aye,
indeed.
that's it. That's it. The Tuesday ticket is usually the show where we do all the news, the gossip, and the hearsay. But of course, because the window's shut, we don't have any real gossip, news, or hearsay to talk about. So we're going to make this a Club Brugge sort of
yeah, sure.
preview show, or Club Brugge if you're one of the hipsters out there. I like to stick with Bruges because I don't know if you've seen the film In Bruges with
Oh, love in
Colin
Bruges.
Farrell.
What a
What a
film.
film! If you haven't seen it, Regan, have you seen it?
No, David, I've not.
Oh
Oh,
my
Is it
god.
mate, it's
watch?
tremendous, mate.
I'll need,
Tremendous.
I'll need to go and
It's
watch a
great.
report. I'll report back to you next Tuesday.
Oh mate.
It's a Martin McDonagh film. It's very funny, very dark. You'll like it.
Really good.
It's like a fucking fairy tale. um,
Love
we're
it.
not going to do quotes of the film all night, but that's just one. Ralph Fiennes is in it.
Fiennes.
He's in it as well. Anyway,
I need to watch.
right before we get started, give us a like, give us a share, buy some hair, become a Boise Bus member for a small cost of $1.99. It is totally optional. All our content is absolutely free. That's just your way of, if you'd like to support the bus, keeping the wheels on the road. You can get yourself a nice tasty pasty treat at 12.5% off at the checkout with piesports.com. Just type in bus 1888 into the checkout and you'll get your nice wee 12.5% off. And of course, hit that bell button on YouTube, subscribe, all that jazz, and you'll know when the bus is on its way.
I'm not
Like
going to bring
tonight.
this comment up on screen, but your maw, not your actual maw, but the username, your maw's put a quote directly from In Bruges. I'm not going to bring it up on screen because it's got quite a brutal word in it, and we don't want to get totally demonetized here. But yes, that's a cracking quote. I feel like
You're a fucking inanimate object. right. Anyway, enough of the Club Brugge.
yes.
Right, not Club Brugge. In Bruges, great film. Anyway, right. Let's before we get into the Bruges chat though, let's have we'll just a wee gander back there to the Saturday night game there. Phil, let's have a wee let's talk about it. Was it that lineup? Was that a preview of what we're going to see as a starting lineup against Club Brugge tomorrow night? I mean, I think it was on paper our strongest starting 11. I know some people will get into discussing some people's form, but for me, I think that's the team that I could see starting on. Tomorrow night, which kind of surprised me that was the starting lineup because I thought he would have maybe switched it to keep everything fresh. But I can understand why Brendan went with that starting 11 if it is to be our starting 11 tomorrow night.
Yeah, I think that is probably the strongest option right now. Obviously, there's a lot of discourse right now over one Arnie Engels, which is quite appropriate. being Belgian. We're playing a Belgian team tomorrow. Does he start or whatnot? He seems to be the one coming out of the weekend there where there's a lot of questions again. I still stand by my guns. I think Engels will be fine over the course of the season. I think a lot of the tweets about him, I saw a great tweet the other night that says the opinions right now on Engels will age just as badly as the ones about Nicolas Kuhn. And I've got to agree. I think we'll find come the end of the season, Engels will be fine. Right now, is he hitting the best for him? Maybe not. But again, I think we've got good options there. So obviously if Bernardo was to come in and start again, I think you're a winner either way. I think both are very solid options. I think though Brendan will still lean on Engels to start the game. I say the 11 million price tag, and again, I think a couple of he misplaces some passes and whatnot. I think it's just the demand with the price tag over him. And it's like, I think just give him the time. He'll bed in pretty well. As I say, I think come the end of the season, we will be celebrating what a brilliant player he is and saying 11 million as a snip at the end of the day. So yeah, looking at that lineup on Saturday and talking about for tomorrow night, I think that is probably the strongest one. Again, maybe a wee case can also be made. I know the left back position, there's been a lot of talk about what's going on there. I don't know if I necessarily buy into the conspiracies, shall we call it, conspiracy theories that value's been frozen out because of some random story about Barca might recall him in January. I don't know.
Why are they going to recall him? What was the reasons for recalling him?
Supposedly an injury crisis, but Barcelona, once upon a time, just a few years back, had an injury crisis outside of a transfer window, and La Liga allowed them to sign a player outside of the transfer window because La Liga has some different rules for these types of things. So I wouldn't be too worried about that one. At the end of the day, Greg Taylor has been here quite a few years. Even Brendan Rodgers is talking about getting him signed up to a new deal. Right now you can hear Liam Greenlaw somewhere in Canada raging at that thought. We'll see whatever comes of that. I still think that Taylor is winding down, and I think Taylor will leave at the end of the season. But he's been here long enough. He's a solid enough hand, especially for SPFL levels. I wouldn't read again too much into Taylor coming in to play against Hearts at the weekend.
Yeah, well, we'll keep on the Engels chat at the minute, Regan. I think personally, I don't think he's playing as bad as what some people are making out. I think he's okay. He's not been a standout midfielder, but has he done anything particularly terrible that's made you go, fucking hell, get him off the park? At no point have I felt like that.
Oh.
I think just the price tag, I think you instantly think to yourself, well, we've splashed £11 million for this guy. I'm expecting a world beater. But in reality, we've seen a 21-year-old that we signed from one of the lower German sides who predominantly played as a more of a defensive, deep-lying midfielder, who Brendan has openly said he wants to turn him into a more of an attacking midfielder. So not only is he left a club that expect, have their backs against the wall, don't expect to do much, and nearly coming to a club like Celtic where he's expected to put in a 10 out of 10 performance every week and win every week, as well as playing a completely different role to what he's maybe used to. I think we could cut him some slack. He's at no point done anything that's cost us a goal or cost us a game. I think we can afford to let him just kind of find his feet again, Regan, because he's got great players around him like Hatate, who didn't have the best first half against Hearts, ended up becoming arguably the man of the match. Callum McGregor last season wasn't his best season, played through it, and like Phil says, these comments could age like milk if we don't allow him to almost just play through this. And I understand people's wanting to see Bernardo get more game time. I think he certainly has earned that argument. However, sometimes players can make a great impact off the bench, and when they take their chance to start, they don't necessarily live up to the hype that they've almost presented to themselves. Saying that, Bernardo obviously has not really started the game since his really good performance against Rangers, but hey, this is what happens when you sign an £11 million player, Regan.
I think you'd be a good point there. I think you should put the price tag. I think for the first few games, everybody was saying that Engels is doing very well. So I think sometimes we just need to realise that he's a very good player, and sometimes it takes time just to bear in. And like you said, Brendan Rodgers is trying to change what he does, so that's going to take time as well, David. So I think in terms of him, me personally, I would play Bernardo just because I've got a wee kind of soft spot for Bernardo. You know, think back to that Rangers game last year. Think back to the Dundee game when Brendan Rodgers was under some sort of pressure and he scored the 2 goals that day. And um, I don't know if Engels would be a great player to be on the bench, and I think that's something that Brendan Rodgers has got this season. He's got like if you look at we've brought in so many midfielders and he's got so many choices there. So I think it's only a good thing for Celtic because if you look at the bench the other day, we had Bernardo, we had the boy from Dundee as well. So there's so many options that we've got there to throw on. So I think I would personally choose Bernardo, but I think Brendan Rodgers will go with Engels because he just seems as if that's the main starting player. But I think the overall squad strength shows that we've got the players that can really step in there and do a job.
Alan Robertson comes in and he says, price tag aside and on form, Bernardo should be ahead of Engels. Agree or not, guys?
Yeah.
It's I can totally understand where Alan's coming from, Phil. And I mean, Regan's gotten soft on us. He says that he would play him because he's got a soft spot for Bernardo. You've gone soft, Regan. You used to be ruthless, mate. What's happened to you? I don't know if I'd necessarily start Bernardo because I've got a soft spot for him. I obviously a bit of tongue in cheek there, Regan. But let's park the £11 million price tag and let's park aside the £3 million that we paid for Bernardo when we know that we were getting a £6 million player. On current form, Phil, would you be starting Bernardo ahead of Engels?
On current form?
And what is that
Bernardo.
current form? 15 minutes here and there after off the bench. That's where it gets difficult for me. We've got Bernardo coming off the bench. In most cases, the game's already been won. I know Hart now. Obviously, we were struggling against Hearts in the first half, and then by the time Bernardo came on, maybe 2-0 up or 1-0 up.
We were 2-0 because it was Ida that scored the third and fourth goal. And he set up Ida. Yeah.
So this is where it becomes a difficult one for me, Phil, because I do understand Bernardo has been brilliant when he's come off the bench, but unless somebody can correct me, has Bernardo been coming off the bench when you could say the pressure's been off? So where are you at that when it comes to on form and ignoring price tag? Wednesday night, tomorrow night, Club Brugge. Who do you start?
Who do I start? I think going back to your first question on current form, I think Bernardo is in better form right now, just because again we're talking about goal involvements, and yeah, he's got a few assists to his name and whatnot. Engels. When was Engels' last goal? He's a penalty. Well, it's got to be a penalty, isn't it? Because all his goals have been from the spot so far. So for me, I'd say Bernardo is just ahead in form, and if it was me picking it, I would probably, if it was me picking it, if I was a manager, I would probably go with Bernardo, but it's going to be Engels, I think. And the thing is, I think it speaks volumes for the attitude of Paulo Bernardo to have come in after the Matt O'Reilly sale and everyone just assuming that, well, that's the guy that's going to, take his place. And then obviously Engels joins. And yeah, in the end, it was obviously Engels seems to be the first choice, but Bernardo has not kicked up a fuss. He's always been making an impact when he comes on. He could very easily, if he was a very unprofessional player, which he clearly isn't, he could come on and just kind of phone it in. Just wondering, why did I join? I'm just essentially relegated to the bench. But no, he's playing like a man that is trying to get Brendan Rodgers' attention because he's contributing and he's always making it. He's always very involved when he comes on. So again, we've said this enough times compared to this time last year. Brendan Rodgers has good headaches right now. You know, most people think a headache isn't a good thing, but this is good headaches that Brendan's having right now because he's got a lot to think about. I think if you pick Bernardo or you pick Engels right now, I think again, there's no real dip in the strength. But if you're just going on current form, if we're going to just judge it on that, I'd say Bernardo's that wee bit ahead just now. In that case,
4 matches, 3 assists, 1 goal in the Champions League for our Belgian international, though, Regan. That's not bad form in the Champions League, is it?
No, he's done very well. And I think sometimes when you bring a player in, sometimes they can be overhyped. But like you said, you just need to look back at a few of the players that were brought in. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for them to settle in. And I think he's done a very good job so far. I think sometimes because the £11 million, the price tag, people can overhype and overemphasize just what he should be doing. Because you need to remember that, as you said earlier, that's a guy that's be, I mean, he's had to adapt to a brand new city. He's had to adapt to a brand new team, and he's also had to adapt to a totally different way of playing. So I think sometimes we need to take all that as it seems. And I think in terms of him, and I think like if you look at him as well, he's playing for his national team as well. So obviously there's something there, and hopefully Brendan Rodgers can get the best out of him.
You could almost be saying the exact same thing for Bernardo, Phil. This is the thing, this is the mad part. And like Alan Robertson says, Bernardo's form for Portugal, obviously under 21s, still very high level, has also been outstanding. It's a great dilemma to have, and I think this isn't an issue. This is a great problem to have,
of course.
And I think who's I've seen it, Gary Brown. Fuck it, play the two of them.
Well,
there's
how many shows
there.
have we done where we've talked about Hatate was going to be the one to drop out because we keep thinking, there's this feeling around Hatate with a lot of fans, going, the body language experts that come out, remember they were all out force during the COVID season that we try not to talk about, analysing John Kennedy's body language. Oh, Hatate doesn't look like he wants to be here. He's throwing the toys out the pram. Hatate's been getting better and better. He can be erratic, yes, and he doesn't strike you as a Brendan player because he takes some unnecessary risks. But he's obviously getting games week in, week out. When I think that, Bernardo will come in this week, Hatate still finds a way in. And I mean, at the weekend, I thought Hatate was outstanding. So yeah, he's clearly working under Brendan. Yes, he has still got his mad moments when he does give the ball away because he tries something a bit audacious. But when it does come off, my God, it certainly does come off.
I don't know if you noticed as well, David, on Saturday night when Brendan Rodgers is talking to the players, see the one player that he's talking to all the time is real, and that's like for me is showing that Brendan is clearly showing him what he can do better, and he's trying to make improvements. So I think Brendan clearly sees that there's a player there, and he knows that he can get to the very top. And obviously, like I think I said this on Twitter the other night. I think Ange Postecoglou did very well at bringing these players in, but I would even say that all of the players that Ange had at Celtic, I think Brendan Rodgers has took them to a completely different level.
Oh, I think there's no argument of who the superior coach is, Phil, between the two, and I loved Ange. Mm-hmm. He was brilliant. I enjoy what he's doing for Tottenham. I think that there's a very good manager there. Much more of a roller coaster. But is he a man to man coach? I think it's quite obvious that he's not. He's barely on the training field again there on the training pitch. He likes to leave it down to his coaches. Whereas Brendan's very, as we know, much more hands-on, and I mean, he's just got piles and piles and piles of evidence of how good a coach he is. Like you said, Hatate's improved massively. I think Maeda's a brilliant example. Brilliant example. I mean, he's having the season of his life so far. I mean, I know he had a very good season in Japan before he moved to Celtic in terms of goal scoring, but I think we've seen a real change in his abilities under the tutelage of Mr. Brendan Rodgers.
Good word.
Aye.
I struggled with that, Regan. That was a big word for me, mate.
Remember, this is, and you're talking about difference between Ange and Brendan and their management. This is a guy who, I think it was on when he did one of the many interviews he did with Cy Ferry. Whenever he won Manager of the Month, he'd do one of those interviews, and he said he'd in the past would do things like go on flights with his players and just sit for like 10 hours next to one of them and not say a single word. I feel like, they were sat in the plane. Because obviously in Australia, the travel and stuff like that is long when you're flying across country. And yeah, he would just sit and not say anything to any player that was sitting next to him. It's like he's just had this very guarded way about him. But he's one of these guys. I mean, again, I've got all the time in the world for Ange as well. I mean, fantastic what he did for us. I'm not going to say anything bad about him. But yeah, you can see the differences there. But it doesn't mean that, you earn Ange's respect, and I think he gives it back massively to the players that do earn it from him. He's just very guarded in the way he does it. But Brendan, yeah, I mean, you've heard all the stories about Brendan, before he joined Celtic, all the memes, all the parodies and all that. But it's all just part of his character, it's all just part of makes him Brendan what he is. We talk about the mad stories that he tells where he's clearly over exaggerating at times, flat out lying on some occasions. But hey, that's just Brendan Rodgers. That's just Brendan to a T. That's why we love him that way. If I was a football player, I'd love to play under a manager like Brendan Rodgers. I would absolutely love that. He just seems like an absolute character. So yeah, it definitely in the way he's adapted to this team. Many players that we thought, they're Ange players. They'll never work under Brendan. Maeda's the best example. It's mad as well that Maeda's probably having his best season, but Nicolas Kuhn still putting in better numbers than him, and that just shows you how dangerous both of our wingers are become right now. Maeda is that good, but Nicolas Kuhn's just that wee bit better as well, and it's just again brilliant headaches to have for the manager. Fantastic.
Let's talk about Nicolas Kuhn, Regan.
Yep.
He didn't have the best game against Hearts. It wasn't one of his best performances. However, we saw that absolute lightning pace that he has, as well as Maeda, and they linked up perfectly together. I mean, that was scary quick, scary fast. That will put fear into any top European side that we face in Champions League. That counter-attacking football, but that guy is playing with so much confidence right now. Like, he could have easily squared it again back to Maeda, who would probably, knowing him, would have skied over the barn. We'd all had a wee chuckle. I mean, Maeda, what's he like? But Kuhn wasn't having any of it. He's playing with a bit of a chip on his shoulder, and he just absolutely, as Phil calls it, an absolute thunderbuster into the top corner. No goalkeeper, not even a 25-year-old version of Craig Gordon was saving that. That was ridiculous. I mean, it took me almost a second to realise that he'd actually scored. It happened that quickly. A lot of talk, Regan, about Nicolas Kuhn, and he could leave in January, or we'll be definitely gone in the summer, and he'll be knocking on the door of the national side. I don't know if I subscribe to that just yet, but we can get into that discussion. Where are you with this Nicolas Kuhn situation? Do we just enjoy what we have him?
I think he's shown his quality, and I think he's also showing that it's very important to make sure that we don't jump on these players' backs right away, because he's shown that he's a top quality player. And on that finish you're talking about on Saturday night, it was absolutely brilliant. I mean, I don't know how he's even thinking about shooting for that. I didn't think it was even on. But that just shows you that. I mean, that just shows you that he's very, very able to do stuff like that, and he knows, David, that seeing these Champions League nights. I know that Nagelsmann said he's been watching a lot of Celtic's matches, but these are going to be the matches that the German manager will be watching. He's not going to, no disrespect to him, but I don't think he's going to be watching Celtic versus Ross County at 3 o'clock on Saturday, as much as me and Phil will be there and watching it. I think he'll be tuning in tomorrow to watch, hopefully, Nicolas playing very well against Brugge, as you called him. So no, I just feel like he's very good. I would like to ask you guys. I mean, do you think he's kind of of the Scott Sinclair type, where he's kind of starting to grab this team the way that Scott Sinclair did back in Brendan Rodgers' first time, because obviously we had Dembele, we had Dreyfus, but like Scott Sinclair's contribution for the wide area was a big part of Brendan's team, and that's the kind of vibe that I'm getting for him. As he's Brendan Rodgers, Scott Sinclair times two there.
Scott Sinclair's numbers are very similar to what Kuhn's doing. If you think back to that first season, again, just people forget how good Scott Sinclair. You just mentioned a minute ago there, talking about that goal that Kuhn scored at the weekend there. Think back to Scott Sinclair's debut goal at Tynecastle, David. That break up the park, lightning pace. Lee Griffiths picked him out with a pass and he just put away. But again, when you think about it, that direct run, just pace that, is the hallmarks there. But yeah, the numbers that Kuhn's putting up are very, very similar to what Sinclair did in his first season. He was absolutely excellent for us, and he played out in the wing. Brendan definitely loves a winger that can be a goal threat. And that season for James Forrest had the season of his life as well. Arguably, that was James Forrest's best season too. So again, two wingers that were just contributing with goals and assists, as well as the main striker. And again, look at this season. You can just draw all the hallmarks. It's like it's a trope of Brendan Rodgers' team. He likes his wingers to cut inside and score and get assists, and obviously the main man through the middle as well. So I think the comparison to Sinclair is very, very justified in the numbers that they're putting up.
Yeah, I would agree with you that the Nicolas Kuhn comparisons to Sinclair, especially like I said, his first season. Phil, I mean, he must be getting close to catching up with that already. But did anybody off the top of their head remember how many goal contributions Sinclair had that season? It was stupid. It was a stupid amount. If he keeps it up, though, I mean, he's already got 22 goal contributions for Celtic this season already. I'm looking at the German national side though, Regan, and I mean, like you said, I know what you're saying. Like Nagelsmann, he's probably not sitting watching the Hearts game there, but I mean, the Belgian manager's been watching Arne Engels, who in Belgium are sitting they're sitting slightly higher in the international table than in the ranking system than Germany are at the minute. But Belgium are currently going through a bit of a transition period, so I can see why maybe Arne Engels is getting more of a chance in the Belgian national side opposed to maybe a German winger might. But I mean, Serge Gnabry, 29 years old, Sane, 28 years old. I mean, they're not old, these boys. So, but other than that, I'm looking at the German under 21 national side wingers here, and I mean, there's still some very good young players here, like Garuda plays for Brighton, 25 million rated right winger. I can't pronounce this boy's name. Is it Ansgar North, 22-year-old, plays for Frankfurt. I don't know. Does he need to move? If he has aspirations to be in the national side, Phil, does Kuhn have to move away from Celtic? So I'm looking at the comments here, and some people here saying that, if he sticks here for another 2 more years and really develop, he's got a far better chance of getting into the national side at Celtic. But does Kuhn have the patience to wait any longer? That's my worry. If he feels that I need to move on quite quickly, and if there are Premier League clubs or whoever, or German clubs, who knows, are interested, does that make it more difficult to keep a hold of him? But where are you with that? Could he break into that national side with the likes of Serge Gnabry and Sane on their kind of the twilight years of their career at 28 and 29? Can he sneak into maybe a Nations League game, perhaps?
Nations League game, maybe, but I don't think the Nations League rolls around again for quite a while, so he might not be a Celtic player by the time that comes around.
Right enough, 2
years to get into that German national team is going to be tough when he's still a Celtic player. I think we touched on it briefly last week. I think when Nagelsmann had that question put to him, I think he was just kind of being polite. you've got to remember Germany have a strong domestic league as well. Belgium do not, and that's why one of the reasons why Engels is probably able to get in and amongst the Belgian national team, but see the German national team and the pool of players they've got, because not only do a lot of their top players play for massive clubs around the continent, they've got a lot of top players playing in their domestic league as well. So that's going to make it such a deep roster of talent that they can pick from. Kuhn, realistically, I don't think he gets into the German team, regardless of the numbers he puts up and what he does in the Champions League. And it's unfortunate because he's definitely worth a crack. If they still did friendlies and whatnot, then you never know. He might get a tryout and something like that. But for as far as I know, the calendar next season for internationals is just World Cup qualifiers all the way until I know we've got a Nations League game at the start of it in March. Scotland are playing them. This Greece in a playoff, whatever the Nations League works, and then it's World Cup qualifiers all the way.
I think
Germany, I think, are going to be World Cup qualifiers all the way as well, and it's like they're two. I can't see Kuhn breaking into the German team. Well, he's still a Celtic player.
Regan, you were ready?
I think it's a difficult one, but I also think that if there's anybody that's going to break into it, I think it will be him, because I know we spoke about like when Dembele was here. Is Dembele able to break into the France team? Is Fraser Forster able to break into the England team? But I think if there's anybody that's going to break into it, I think it might possibly be him. Especially because if you look at the next few Champions League matches, no disrespect to Brugge and young boys, right? But if he plays well against him, then that'll be something that the manager definitely will be talking about. And I know David was saying there about that there's a lot of white players for Germany to pick for, but I think also as well that you need to remember that he's playing very well. So we always talk about picking in form, and I think that's something that the manager would do. But I think what you also talk about, Phil, in terms of well, he maybe try and go somewhere else, but then it's probably down to him as well, because the other thing is if he stays another 3 years at Celtic, and then he might not be playing as well, and then he might not be able to get onto the same platform that he would have been able to 2 years ago. So it's about weighing up everything and saying, do I go when the iron is hot, or do I wait until...
He's 24 years old already. I mean, he's no. This isn't like a 21-year-old boy that we've got that's got time on his hands. You know, that's where my concerns would be. But let's talk about this Champions League fixture we've got tomorrow. So, Club Brugge, excuse me, Club Brugge have 6 points thanks to a 1-0 win at Sturm Graz, and in their most recent fixture at home to Aston Villa. They have also lost a 3-0 at home to Dortmund and 3-1 to AC Milan. This is the team's first fixture and only the third time Club Brugge have faced a Scottish club. Club Brugge's only previous games against a Scottish club came in the inaugural Champions League group stage in 1992-93 when they drew 1-1 at home to Rangers before a 2-1 loss in Glasgow. This is Club Brugge's 11th campaign in the Champions League proper, one short of Anderlecht's Belgian record. The most recent game in 2022-2023, the Belgian side claiming 11 points to finish second in Group B behind Porto and reached the knockout stages for the first time. Benfica proved too strong in the round of 16, however, winning 2-0 in Bruges and 5-1 in Lisbon. Club Brugge have lost only 6 of their last 17 away matches in the Champions League proper, winning 5 and drawing 6. So they're no mugs, Phil.
No.
They're no mugs. I saw they won 7-0 domestically against a team sitting 12th in the Belgian league. So read into that what you want. Not necessarily too concerned about them beating a team of the standard of maybe St Johnstone, Hibs maybe, domestically before they come into Celtic Park. I'm not overly worried. I don't want to be cocky or overconfident just because we are dealing with a Champions League level team and champions of their league, which is obviously a very similar standard. Arguably could be better, who knows, than the Scottish League. Phil, what's your take on this fixture? Do you have any concerns, or I know you were saying to me that you shouldn't be too, don't go and start panicking over a team like Club Brugge when we've just beat a team like Leipzig. However, it's Champions League after all. We've been in the situation plenty of times. So what's your overall thoughts on this fixture coming up?
I don't know if I've got concerns necessarily. I mean, I did see a lot of again discourse after the last round of fixtures because they beat Aston Villa, but I don't know if you'll be old enough to remember this, David, because you're about 6 or 7 years younger than me. But see, back in the day, back in the 90s, you used to always get those compilation videotapes, not DVDs, videotapes, Nick Hancock's football nightmares and stuff like that. And the goal that Club Brugge scored was right out of the Nick Hancock's football nightmares. It was one of those freak gaffes that happened where Tyrone Mings just had a total brain fart, essentially. Obviously handled the ball. They got a penalty, they scored, and they held out. They got the win. Fair enough, Aston Villa are a decent team. We'll be playing them soon enough. It is a good result. But on one hand, we cannot shout from the rooftops about how great we were against Leipzig and how we beat Leipzig and then suddenly be all worried about Club Brugge. Ultimately, I think we'll beat them. I know that their fixtures coming up from a Club Brugge point of view. You said they're on 6 points, so again they will be in the same boat as us, thinking 10 points. That seems to be the universally accepted number to try and get through the knockouts. And they'll be looking at their next 3 fixtures after this. They have got Juventus, Manchester City, and Sporting Lisbon are their next 3 games after us. So they'll be looking at us and thinking, that's our chance to get another 3 points on the board. So they're going to have to come and attack. But hey, do you know who else looked at us, I think, as a 3 points after the horrendous start they had in the campaign? Red Bull Leipzig. They hadn't won a single game, but they would have came to Celtic Park a couple of weeks ago going, right, we've had a terrible start, but Celtic, this is our chance for 3 points. And I think it benefits us if a team comes to Celtic Park and opens up, and we saw it in the last game. We were absolutely fantastic. So realise if we can just replicate that, yes, Bruges will have some players that will cause us problems. There will be moments they will have in front of goal. They will cause us a few problems here and there. But ultimately, I think after what we did against Leipzig and Bratislava as well, and the draw away at Atalanta, some of the performances we put in this campaign, we really should be, seeing them off tomorrow night.
Regan, is Celtic Park quickly becoming a fortress in Europe again after our last couple of results?
Well, I think Brendan Rodgers said a point today in the press conference, David. I don't know if you watched it, but he actually said that we want people to come to Celtic Park to enjoy the Celtic Park for what it is, but also know they're going to get a very tough game. What he said was, over the past couple of years, Celtic have made that into that, because I think one of the journalists actually mentioned about, if you look back to the last 4 matches at home, Celtic have won. So I think that's something that we spoke about a few years ago. Phil, in terms of everybody was going to Celtic Park and saying the atmosphere was fantastic, but every time Celtic seemed to get beat. So it was okay us saying, well, the atmosphere is fantastic, but I think finally it's becoming that fortress that you talk about, David, and people know that Celtic Park's a difficult place to go, and I don't think these Brugge players will be looking forward to going there tomorrow night.
I like what Alan's saying here. I think we're overthinking this game. Celtic on their game will walk it. Phil, I mean, if we play like we did against Leipzig, then we can beat any team. I personally believe. Certainly a team like Club Brugge. They are champions of Belgium for the 19th time. Their 4th title in 5 years. And Club Brugge had appointed Nicky Kuhn as their permanent head coach in June, and he had succeeded Ronnie Deila, who was Celtic manager from 2014 to 2016 on a temporary basis in March. There's 2 members of our squad that will certainly know this side very, very well. Of course, Arnie Engels joined Club Brugge's youth setup in 2014, aged 11. He was part of the club's reserve side, Club NXT, between 2020 and January 2023. scoring 3 goals in 35 appearances. And of course, Kasper Schmeichel, who played 31 games for Anderlecht in the season 2023-2024. How important, Phil, will Kasper Schmeichel be in this particular fixture tomorrow night? Because as where are they gone? I've lost
Ian
the
McIntosh,
comment.
the Ian McIntosh one, is it
Yes,
this? There
thank
you
you,
go.
Ian. Always trusted to get in there. Kasper Schmeichel is a Euro game changer for us.
I have to agree with that. I think you've seen already in this campaign some of the saves he's pulled out against Leipzig in the last game. There was one where we were 2-1 up at the time, second half. Great crossover, boy chests it down and hits it on the volley. Kasper gets down at the near post and saves it. And also against Atalanta, I mean, there was one chance quite early on. And again, how many times have you seen this happen to Celtic? Boy gets to the byline, cuts it back, no problem. We can't seem to get a tackle on him. And the lad hits it from the edge of the area, and Kasper Schmeichel saves it with his legs. Now, I say, how many times have you seen that happen to Celtic? That just goes into the net. That'll just fly through his legs into the net. But Kasper Schmeichel actually lands on the ball. He saves it with his legs and then falls back and basically saves it. And it's like, he's getting these wee moments, things that have went against us in the past. He's pulling these saves out, and his experience is shining through. Not that Joe Hart didn't have shed loads of experience as well. And Joe Hart did pull out many good saves as well in European competition for us. But yeah, Kasper Schmeichel has been a seamless transition from Joe Hart to Kasper Schmeichel. And some people may argue it's an upgrade as well. I think both goalies have, after what Joe Hart contributed to us for the last few years, and Schmeichel's just continued that. And it's just good to know that you've got that safe pair of hands at the back. I mean, he's obviously Denmark's number one keeper still for a reason, despite his age. So yeah, he's still keeping that position, no problem. So yeah, he's going to be vital for us to get out of this league stage. I know call it the group stage there, but yeah, he's going to be very vital for us. And again, if we can get the points tomorrow night, we take another massive step towards it, because we will hit the much fabled 10 points that everyone keeps talking about. So the prize is right there in front of them, and Kasper Schmeichel can play a huge role in that tomorrow night.
Of course, Regan, we can't ignore they do have themselves some very good attacking players. One whose name has popped up in recent years in Scottish press would be Andreas Skov Olsen. Phil, you know who I'm talking about there. He had been
Scott Wilson.
Scott Wilson. Skov Olsen.
Yeah, Skov Olsen. Yes,
Skov Olsen, Denmark international. Kasper Schmeichel will know him very well. He was linked with the Rangers a couple of seasons ago. I think we might have even been linked with him at one point. He is on decent enough form. He scored 5 goals and 2 assists in 14 matches in the Belgian league so far. Quick player, like I said, Danish international. One of a couple of the danger men. However, he's up against the two Mahusif American centre backs in Cameron Carter-Vickers and Trusty. I imagine, Regan, that will be our centre back pairing, so long as Cameron Carter-Vickers is fit, which I imagine he will be.
Yep.
That should be our centre back pairing, I imagine. Regan, have they got anything to worry about?
I don't want to tempt fate, and I don't want everybody to start moaning at me here, right? But I don't think we have. I think Trusty and CCV have got it under control.
They just look really.
They just look really ready for this.
Just chilled, eh? Just look chilled. They're just kicking about with their slippers on, smoking a couple of questionable rollies, just chilling. They just look so chilled. Regan, nothing seems to faze them.
Aye, and I want to pay credit to Brendan Rodgers, because I'm sure the board said to him in the summer that, you've got Scales there and you've got Stephen Welsh there, like he's probably said the last couple of transfer windows. But I mean, fair play to Brendan Rodgers for getting that over the line and spending $6 million. I mean, we've got 2 extra centre backs there anyway, and then we've got the Polish boy as well, Nawrocki. So. I mean,
yeah, him. About that. Who's that Polish boy we've got again? Who's that guy? Aye.
So, no, David, I'm really happy, and I think in terms of like this Bruges game, I think I'll suit Trusty and Carter-Vickers, because I don't know if you guys agree, but I feel like this is a match that we are going to actually dominate possession of the ball anyway. So these guys are going to be touching the ball. They're going to be involved in the match. That they will be the same way when they're playing like a Aberdeen or a Rangers or whatever.
I mean, I can't disagree. I think Phil Regan's right. I mean, the last couple of European results at Celtic Park, there is no reason why Celtic shouldn't be filled with confidence going into this game. And Club Brugge should be looking at those last couple of results. I mean, 5-1 we beat. What was their name again?
Slovan Bratislava.
Smashed them. A 3-1 win against the second best team in Germany at the minute. Bruce should be concerned. They should be concerned. But yeah. Brendan Rodgers will also know a member of this squad rather well. Simon Mignolet is their goalkeeper at the minute, who obviously Brendan signed and managed at Liverpool between 2013 and 2015. So hopefully his form is exactly how it was when he played for Liverpool. And we should score a fair few goals then, Regan.
I'm no disrespect to him, but I think he's at a different stage to what our goalkeeper is. I think he's at the later stage of his time, and I think if
was that young whippersnapper we've got in goals.
I think Schmeichel's still at his top level. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I know what you mean, mate. Yeah, he's still playing at a very high level, and I think, well, I mean, none of us. I mean, I only knew that Simon Mignolet was playing there because I googled the squad before we came on. So, I mean, that says it all. I don't even know if he's even part of the national side set up anymore.
That'll be Courtois. That'll be Belgium's goalkeeper, won't it? It'll be him. Surely it's Courtois.
Oh, aye, right enough, aye.
Yeah.
And then that guy that we were trying to sign during the summer, the guy that played
Casteels, Kuhn Casteels. Yeah. I went to Saudi.
Remember the days?
Yeah. If you want to look back on those fond memories,
there's a Danish guy from Sparta Prague that we kept getting linked to. Was it Jensen? Remember that one as well? That kept coming up and never went anywhere as well. So yeah, it was fun times back in the summer there with all the speculation. Getting it totally wrong.
Every single goalkeeper under the sun, we were linked with.
Mm-hmm.
Never were getting worried about the guy from Newcastle, Dubravka.
Dubravka, Martin Dubravka was another one, right? That's right.
Naming shite goalkeepers. Oh dear. Well, I mean, I've pretty much gone through pretty much everything I want to talk about. Is there, Regan, usually have something that you want to just throw at me?
David, who turned up on Saturday night? Adamida. I told you we'd come good. Good.
Nobody does. Right.
I need interview as well on this one. I need to take it to bar.
There's a myth here. There's a myth here that Regan, that me and Phil somehow had said that he wasn't going to turn up. We agreed with you, Regan. We agreed with you. Yeah, cheeky so. I even said in the group chat. I was like, this will be the game.
Back tonight until last Tuesday night, and you'll see. You were questioning big time.
Content creation, mate. Creating debate for our lovely viewers to enjoy.
Mark's saying that we said now. Mark Kearney says that more players are shite than anybody else, so he's got a bit of a cheek to say that. We did not say that at all. We did say we were a bit disappointed in the lack of game time that he's had so far and expected a wee bit better. And one of the points I made was when you compare it with Kyogo, I think he does a very particular type of striker in which Kyogo can pull magic out of nowhere. I think he's capable of that goal from like 30 yards, like he did against Rangers when he literally passed into the net. Adam Eder, I think you've got to play to his strengths, but that doesn't mean he's a bad player. I love Adam Eder. He gave me one of the best moments of my life at Hampden back in May when he scored that winning goal at the very end of the game. It was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic moments. He's got credit in the bank for me. I would like him to get more game time, but right now, if you're going on for him, I'd say Kyogo's probably going to get the nod tomorrow night. But either those two goals will do him a world of good because he needs goals to get his confidence up. He came on, remember early in the season, the 2 goals against Falkirk when he turned the cup game around for us, and then he scored against Bratislava coming off the bench, and you think, right, he can push on here. But then you see his performance like against Kilmarnock recently, where it just looked like he couldn't even trap a bag of cement. So it's like he needs these goals, he needs a bit more game time to get a bit more confidence. But I think tomorrow Kyogo will get the nod up front when it comes to the starting lineup. I think it'll be Kyogo that plays.
I miss O.
Oh no.
You had to load the tone, David. No.
Bloody
dear.
O. He's
Oh,
playing in
eh?
Belgium now, isn't he? Genk, he
Aye.
went. Aye, so he
Aye,
is.
Genk, 3 goals in 13 matches.
He's ripping it up.
Aye. You know what's mad though, right? Is that'll get him a £10 million move to Norwich in 2 seasons.
Probably.
That's what's wild. Yeah, the judge is fishing. I didn't know the judge knew that the Tuesday ticket was even on.
Yeah, welcome along, Mark.
I heard Mark Kenny just watches the TNF on repeat until the next TNF. I'm only joking, Mark. I'm only joking, mate. I'm only joking. Yeah, let's right. We're all having a wee giggle at each other right now. So can we just have a minute and ask a really serious question here?
Okay.
Atalanta, are they a good side?
Oh, I know what this is a reference to.
If you say Terry, mate, Terry, is he still digging? I just wondered if he's still digging that hole because that was wild content. We're going to talk about wild content. That was wild. That was wild. Atalanta, Terry on a bad one. that was top tier content to watch. So I must say, I prefer you.
I want to say, so yes, they are a top team. The debate between him and Russell, obviously, it escalated quite a bit on Saturday. Where Terry was very much doubling down, not backing down. But one of the points where he sort of shot himself in the foot was he was saying, why then the Champions League? Because he won the Europa League. But they also finished 4th last season in Italy, so they would have got a Champions League spot even if they didn't win the Europa League. They're just one of these teams that have just came out of nowhere essentially in recent years and are now a consistent sort of Europa League, Champions League. They kind of fluctuate between both of them, and they beat the all-conquering Bayer Leverkusen. And I mean, didn't just fluke it, didn't just win it by a goal. They wiped the floor with Bayer Leverkusen in that final. It wasn't even close. After all the hype and all the brouhaha about how great this Bayer Leverkusen team is, Atalanta absolutely swatted them aside. I think I said to you, David, if you want to look at a team to draw a comparison to in terms of their level, I would say look at Villarreal in Spain, a team who, for many years, and they're probably not good enough to win the Spanish league, but the consistent sort of performers sneaking into Champions League spots, getting into the Europa League, maybe even a team like Seville, again, a team that's probably not good enough to win their domestic league, but they're certainly a decent enough force in Europe. So Atalanta are definitely a good team, and that was a fantastic point that we got that night.
David, they're drawing 1-1. They're drawing 1-1 just now.
Maybe Terry's right then. They're shite.
They're drawing with the young boys of Bern.
Another one of our future opponents. Okay.
Oh, well, see, this is what I'm saying. Champions League, you never know. I mean, the game's not over yet. We know that's
it's 1-1.
There's still a bit to go. But now, Mark Kearney here, he goes, right, the new Parma of the 90s film, maybe building a team of nobodies into stars. Now, I brought that up because I misread it and I thought he was talking about Palma as an our player.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that guy? Let's quickly talk about that. What's happening? Did you see his
Instagram post?
This is what I'm talking about, mate. Just get off the gram, mate.
Off the gram? That could be easily misinterpreted, by the way, what you're talking about.
He needs
what type of gram are we speking about here, David?
Listen, all I'm saying is he needs to stay off that, whatever he's doing.
Stay off it.
I mean, are we reading too much into that? Are we reading too much into that he chose to watch a game on a completely different continent to his teammates that were playing in Edinburgh? Regan, is it over for our Honduran maniac?
I think people were kind of overblowing last season in terms of his numbers are very good. But as I said last week, he's a sort of player that is okay, but I think he's not been given a proper run in the team. But I don't think he's of the Celtic quality, David. I've always said that. But do I think is the end from it? I do, because I said to you guys last week that I think that, see, if Celtic want to progress in the last 16, I think the one place that Brendan Rodgers will say, he'll say, if you can get rid of Palma and bring somebody else in, then that could possibly elevate us to the last 16 or the quarterfinals or even the final. Brendan Rodgers said, remember he said, remember Brendan Rodgers said that after we beat after we won 5-1, he said that's
lava.
That's us playing in the final. Well, Brendan Rodgers has jinxed it. That Celtic are going to be in the final. So,
I don't know what's funny, a comment. Brendan Rodgers saying that comment from Henrik McLaughlin there. Yes, he was in the Christmas ad doing his wee dance at the back of the bus, and you're right. We will look back on that and go, who's he again? Oh, yeah, Louis Palma. But yeah, he's I think he's
in all that. He's in all the content though online. That's what makes me laugh. It's like he's like anonymous as part of the squad. You never see him coming off the bench. He's barely making even the bench now, Phil. But he's in every bit of content that they put out on Twitter, whether it's to do with like their FIFA card ratings or their adverts or just training videos. They use him quite a lot. Like
it's because they're trying to find something from it today, because he's perfect. Like that. You can go and see the
menu. Is Yang ahead of him in the pecking order?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, is he?
I think so, yeah. I don't even think Yang's that great as well, but I'd say right now, again, on current form,
he puts an effort.
Aye, I would trust Yang more than Palmer at the moment. Yep.
It says a lot, man. It says a lot for a guy that when he joined last year, the numbers he was racking up, you really did think we've got a player on our hands here. But yeah, aye, it's mad.
So should we do the cursed predictions before we go for the game tomorrow?
Yeah. I mean, you can do, yeah. I'm gonna go.
Oh, it must be a goal. We'll go with Hibs Aberdeen. Let's cross over to Regan Stevenson.
It's a massive goal.
Oh.
And it's Aberdeen again beat by Hibs.
There you go. Aberdeen again beat by Hibs. We're looking at for Aberdeen results. That's where we are now in the funny world of Scottish football. But yes, David, what was your score prediction?
I was going to say 3-1. I was going to say 3-1. Yeah. Phil, what about you, mate?
I was also going to go 3-1 because I think they'll get a goal, but just to be different, I'll say 3-0. I'll say we keep a clean sheet then. I'll go for that. I think either way, as long as we get the points, that's all that matters now. Take a scrappy 1-0 right now. And Regan, what do you think, mate?
I'll go 4-1.
Adam, need a hat trick.
Yep.
Never in doubt. Never in doubt.
I'll go Maeda to get a double.
I'd like to know what the XGs and all that kind of stuff is, because that looked riveting. Yeah, listen, I know we don't get along to these things, and that's not why I'm saying that we should but they need to just can that fan access. If that's the type of questions that we're getting, that's a whole other podcast. But I mean, God, I thought Brendan was going to fall asleep.
He looked like he was ready to laugh the entire time, and then he just waited and just went, yes, and that was it. It was great.
Mark, I'll be on next Tuesday next time I've got an invite, David. Welcome anytime, Mr. Judgy Boy. You're always welcome on.
Sunday Blair reunion, the 4 is.
I know, that could be spicy. Could be spicy. Anyway, right, we're just pulling out content out of our arse now. Let's wrap this up. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this fine Tuesday evening. Bit later than normal, but hey, just do what we want, eh?
The PMP tomorrow night will be another late one. Hopefully, they're not too intoxicated.
Hopefully, the level of opposition was satisfactory for Terry.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah, it'll be a late one tomorrow night after the game, so look out for the link for that going up. But of course, you'll see it if you hit the subscribe button. You'll see it when it's on YouTube. But yeah, we'll be heading off then, and TNF will be back on Thursday, and then Friday feeling, and then be PMP for a Saturday 3 o'clock. What a novel concept Saturday 3 o'clock game been a wee while. They don't get many of them these days. So yeah, it's a busy week.
Rare. It's very rare. Well, Regan, as always, it's been a pleasure, mate. Never a chore. We'll see you next.
Cheers.
See you next week.
See you next week, guys.
See you
Catch
next
you
week.
later. See you.